YouTube, what is good? We are back, coming right back at you with another video about franchise this time. Last week, we did see a debut, a deep dive of the changes within franchise, and this video is going to go into them a little bit deeper and kind of explain quickly what exactly that they are changing. So the main focus of this year's game so far has just been kind of the off-season experience, trade logics, contract negotiations, and kind of how the free agents think trying to join teams. But in this video, we're going to cover every detail, breaking down the aspect of each overhaul, and then we're going to take a look into it and see how it may affect you overall in franchise. That being said, let's talk about the new free agency system. So unlike previous years, free agency isn't just about offering the most money anymore. Players now have different motivations, there's different approaches that you need to have to sign them, and honestly, both of those combined is a very promising change for MLB The Show franchise. Me personally, that is one of the biggest issues that I've had. Anytime I wanted to sign somebody, I just sent them a buttload of money, and then, here we go. You just kind of sign the player and you have a team of all-stars. But at this point now with these motivations, even something simple as trying to offer a player a contract too soon or too early can make a massive difference in your chances of signing that player. Another thing affecting motivation is if you trade away a player. If you end up trading away a good player, that may affect the motivation for players to sign with your team. Just like in real life too, players care about your market size, your team's success, and then the contract security as well. These are all factors that are going to be going into this contract negotiation. So talking more about the early versus late signings, some free agents do want to sign right away to secure their deals, while just like in real life, there are going to be others who prefer to wait, see how the market goes, and that may affect their value. If you are somebody with a more patient approach for offseason and the free agency, that may allow you to sign some players at a lower cost, but you could risk on signing on top talent. With these systems in place, though, every free agency period is now unique, and it offers a different level of excitement and challenge compared to the previous titles, where you would just go in and just sign guys for the highest amount of money that you possibly can. Coming into our next part, we have San Diego Studios introducing the Big Board. It kind of acts as like a master plan for your franchise for the offseason, and it kind of helps you keep track of your negotiations and target your best players strategically. So when it comes to prioritizing targets, the way that's going to work is that each week you'll be able to assign priority to free agents, meaning you need to carefully decide who your top targets are. Focusing on the small group of players improves your chances of signing them, but it also limits your flexibility in reacting to the market. This is something that's really probably meant for your top 3 picks. Say you have 3 major superstars on the market, you're going to be looking at those 3 players, where, the smaller player probably won't end up on this big board. Now, what this big board is going to influence is the motivation of the player to sign with you. Players who will gain more motivation to sign with you if you show consistent interest. Waiting too long to make an offer could mean that you're going to lose them to another team, or they might just lose interest in you overall. And then certain teams just have that natural leg up based on their recent team's performance or rivalries, similar to what we're seeing in real life right now with the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets. A lot of players just want to sign with them because they're handing out a lot of money or the team is recently successful, and that is something that is now being influenced in MLB The Show franchise. Now in MLB The Show franchise, your offer strategy also matters now. So if you lowball a player, they might become less motivated to sign with you because you basically pissed them off saying, you're not worth that much, we're going to give you a way lower number. A rejected offer could also lower a player's motivation towards your team permanently, so something that happens in the current season could also end up affecting you 10 years down the road, depending on who the player is. You also have to consider contract length now, which is a great thing to have. You're no longer going to be having these young stars signing to 6-year deals. The shorter contracts may be more appealing to an older veteran, but the younger players will seek and almost demand long-term security for these contracts. So the big board is going to be something that is going to make a smaller team, a smaller market team, a bit harder to play as, because obviously you don't have that leg up in the motivation as with a team like the Yankees or the Dodgers would. However, I do think that this is a really good realism aspect, because in my previous years of franchise, you see players like Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Juan Soto all going to the A's and the Pirates, and in real life these teams are simply just not signing these caliber of players. They're not willing to spend the kind of money to go get those players. So now with this big board, the motivation changes, the, kind of that leg up against other teams, you're going to see a lot more of a realistic aspect to where players sign. And let's say you are playing as a smaller market team in franchise, you kind of have to strategize a certain way to actually land those players. So beyond just the actual contract aspect of free agency, there are going to be new market dynamics and of course new trade logic as well. So the developers introduced these two things, making the free agency period feel a bit more dynamic and closer to real life transactions. So one of the things that they're adding is called market setter logic. So, and this is essentially your star players set the pace for free agency. If the major player hasn't signed yet, others of that position may wait to see what deal they get first, because that could influence the amount of money that they can get and the type of deal that they get. On top of that, this could also lead to a domino effect in the market where the biggest names can cause a shift in team strategies because they're no longer planning to have that single player. Like I said earlier, the big market teams do matter. They will have the advantage of signing top talent. However, small market teams can still land stars if they're willing to overpay or offer a unique incentive, or just, have, let's say 5 years down in your franchise, your team's been recently successful and a player is more willing to sign with you. As for the trade system, unfortunately, it is still a 3-player trade system. There is no cash value as well. There is no single A players, unfortunately, you're able to offer up to trade. However, they do improve the logic by having contract size, age, war, and long-term potential now included as factors within this trade. If you have a unique player like a Shohei Ohtani, their value will be reflected properly, saying that they are not just your average everyday star. They are going to be going above and beyond, and you would have to trade a lot to get a player like that. Similarly, though, veterans on bad contracts will be harder to move, making those trade decisions a bit more realistic. A lot of times, I think now for these franchises, thinking the logic of how they're kind of planning things, you're more likely going to be DFAing those players rather than trying to trade them. Prospects are also now valued more correctly, more accurately, so a balanced trade system is more in place. Going into the next area, adding even more drama to the offseason, we now have mystery teams, rival poaching, and last chance offers. So going into mystery teams and fog of war, sometimes you just won't know what team is going after a free agent until it's too late. Even if rumors are verified, they could be misdirection, they could be leading you a different way. If you're trying to target a particular player and trying to hurt another team, you may think you're hurting one team, but you're actually helping the other one. Essentially, all this means is that you're going to have to carefully balance your risk and reward when you're making your offers. A new thing that they're going to be adding is called their rival poaching opportunities. If your rival is about to sign a player, you'll sometimes get a chance to kind of swoop in and make an offer at the last minute to steal that player from the team. Not only is this just a unique thing to have, but it also allows for more strategic division rivalries and market competition within the game. Keep in mind, the CPU can also do this to you. In a similar way, there is a thing now called last chance offers, where a player might circle back to you and give you one final opportunity to match or improve an offer before they sign elsewhere. Next up, we're going to be talking more just kind of how the players are valued and how the contracts get structured and how they're more realistic. So San Diego Studios has completely revamped player valuation and how arbitration works within the game. So luckily, they are going to be offering more realistic contracts. The contracts are going to be based off of real life historical data, and kind of I said this earlier, your young superstars are going to be demanding those long-term deals, those 10, 13, 15-year deals, while your aging veterans will sign those shorter deals, but might make a little bit more money per year. The arbitration system also kind of got revamped. The salaries are now going to better reflect that player's value, and if a player and a team disagree, arbitration will be handled more realistically. New to MLB The Show 25 for franchise is defensive war as well, so not only how well are you going to be able to hit, but also your impact in the field as well is going to influence what kind of value you have as a player. So obviously, if you have a player like a Bobby Witt Jr., who's a fantastic fielder and a great hitter, he's going to be valued way higher than a player like Anthony Volpe, whose bat is kind of questionable, but his fielding is still very good. So in simple terms, players with elite defense are now valued higher in trade logic, and then players with defensive liabilities might struggle to find good contracts unless they're signing some sort of DH role or something like a fourth outfielder type situation. The final thing to talk about for a franchise is just kind of the quality of life and the future improvements that the game is making. They did add some small things here and there. Like, for example, they're making 40-man roster adjustments. They're making it easier to manage with clearer Rule 5 eligibility indicators. The scouting improvements, relief pitchers and closers are now less likely to be a top draft pick where you have your starters or just your position players kind of being at the top there. You have new player cards. You have the last 10 game stats for better player evaluation, and it kind of helps you kind of judge what's going on with your team. And then, of course, there's just the simple uniform and presentation updates. It kind of gives it that more modern and polished look. New player intros, stat overlays. It just kind of enhances the overall franchise experience, making it seem a bit more immersive. But with that being said, that is going to be everything announced in MLB The Show 25's franchise at the moment. The free agency system, trade logic, contract negotiations, and overall immersion has actually taken a pretty big leap, in my opinion, forward this year. I know there are still some things like online franchise and, having more players and trades and a lot of other things as well that need to be added. However, I do think that this is a very good step forward for the game's franchise mode. Let me know in the comments what features you're most excited about and how you plan to build your dynasty for this year's season. If you like this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on anything MLB The Show. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one.